everyone and welcome. I'm Marcie Besecker. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. Thank you for joining me today. It is Sunday at 6 o'clock, my regular time on Sundays now, and I appreciate you spending some time with me today. We are going to do a Christmas card again because I've been asked a lot about, every time I ask, what do you want to see, it's Christmas cards. So I'm just going to make my chat live chat. Make sure you switch your chat to live chat and not just top chat. That way you get everybody's comments and kind of see what's going on. And it's a good habit to get into, especially when you play bingo, because you want to make sure you are current with chat and video. So hi Marcia, Debbie, Linda, Marilyn, how are you everybody? If you are new, I'd love for you to say hi. Let me know where you're from. And I hope you guys had a great day today. The weather was beautiful here. It's starting to cool off a little bit, but still in the 90s. So it's so weird. My husband and I always had this discussion about rain in October. And he's like, oh yeah, it's going to rain soon. And I'm like, no, it's not going to rain until October 27th. And he's like, no, it'll rain before then. And I'm like, mm-mm. It's always the day before my birthday. It's the weirdest thing. Once in a while we'll get a little bit of rain maybe, or a drizzle overnight, but it's rain that we don't see. But it will rain on the 27th because it's always happens right before the trick-or-treaters, right? So it's just kind of funny. And sure enough, that 27th, the day we talked about it, it rained. But it was just overnight, but it did rain. It was kind of funny. So hello Trina, hi Deborah, how are you? Thank you guys for the thumbs up. I really, really appreciate it very much. So October bingo is sold out. So I announced last Wednesday that it was our cutoff day, and we had several people after the fact asked about kits. I did make extra kits. Usually the ones I have extra last through bingo day, and they're usually gone that day, but they were gone quick. So probably because I announced some free goodies that are going to be raffled off. So if you are participating in bingo, we're going to have so much fun. It's kind of a birthday celebration. I already created the card, so I don't even think there's a birthday card in there. I don't think there's even a birthday card in bingo. I've been working on them all weekend. So if you're on my Facebook page, you guys have seen some post of all of the prep work for bingo. So almost done with that. So whew, it's been a lot of work. Hello everybody, Marilyn, Maureen, Debbie, Bobby, Susan, Crystal, Judy, Deborah, Barb, and Diana. Welcome everybody. So it's been super busy and getting all of that done, but that's sold out. But November's is going to be a fantastic bingo. So here's a little sneak peek. You're going to get 12 projects, and they're including envelopes, and it is going to be a really fun bingo. So it's going to be a Lights Aglow is one of the sets, and the other one is going to be, I believe it's called Handmade Wishes. It's got a punch to it. I'll punch out the punch for you. So if you don't have the set, you can still use different sentiments, okay? But I will give the punch to you if it has it on the card. Let's see. I don't mind doing the punches if it's like for a sentiment, but if it is for you know, like the Scotty dog, well, there's no sense for me sending the punch to you if you don't have the set. But if you have the set, you already have the punch, and it's much easier to punch after you stamp. So I'm sure you understand that. So so those are the, you know, kind of differences on what I send to you die cut wise and, you know, sentiment wise and punch wise. I'll send that to you if it's labels, because that you can put anything on there if you want. Okay, what else is there? Oh, you know what? There is one day left. Tomorrow is the last day for Stampin Storage. So if you are interested in Stampin Storage, anything, jump on there, and there's a link below in my YouTube. There's one on the first page of my blog on the right side. Just scroll down. You'll notice I upgraded. I got a white card holder and I got white paper holder because those were, you know, the wood, natural wood. And so I had a downline that wanted the paper holder, so that was nice. I was able to upgrade. And my my card holder, I bought a large one for across the room, and my wooden one will go to my husband's work, and cards will go in that because I always put cards in there for the holidays. So and they just moved into a new building, so it may stay there. I don't know, but we're going to put Christmas cards in there and get those over. So I'm excited about that. So I'm kind of liking that everything's starting to get white in here. Not over here yet, and I don't know if it will. My ink holders and all that kind of stuff. My ribbon and my blends. But Stampin Storage for me is the smartest move I did because it's honestly furniture. I don't think it's just a paper holder or just, it is furniture. This right here has so much stuff holding it on top of it that it's just fantastic. So think of it that way. It's going to keep your paper nice and straight and not start to slouch and all that kind of good stuff. So, all right, let's see. Oh, thank you, Leslie. She liked my bingo sneak peeks. The cookies on there were really good. They're at Costco, you guys. They're called David's, and they're like pecan. I think they call them. I call them pecan sandies when I make them. That's what I call them. But they're called like pecan streams or something. I can't remember, but they're really good. You know, they're the ones that have pecans in them and they're dipped in powdered sugar. They're really good. Anyway, so that is that. What else do we have? Bingo, the new kit, of course. I showed you the birthday card one on my last video. I'm excited to get to that and get that fixed up, but it won't be until after all my bingos are done, and then I'm leaving on a retreat. There is a starter kit special. So for $99, you can join and get $155 worth of product. I mentioned this. This is just October 4th through the 31st. And I mentioned this in the last video and I go into more detail. But if you want to know, if you sign up now, you will be a demonstrator until the end of March. And then April is a grace period. So technically you have $300 in orders to get by the end of April. And so you're going to get to see the January mini catalog, the new celebration catalog. You're going to order early. You're going to get the annual catalog comes out in May. So you're going to be able to have access to that too. So you might consider doing it. It's the best time right now. You could add the new things in there, the sneak peek bundle, the floret set, the whole collection. And so something to think about. All right, if you are interested, I'd love to have you as part of my team, so just contact me. You can always go to my blog on the top and just click on join my team and start from there, but message me if you have any questions. So let me know how I can help you. All right, hello Olivia, how are you? Just glancing, making sure I got everybody else. I hope everybody's having a great day. All right, so I think we're going to just go ahead and get started. So let me show you the card we're going to make. So I know we're going to have a glare with the light. It's a shaker card. I really wanted to use the Boughs of Holly because I have a lot of it, and I think the paper is gorgeous. And I'm going to come up with some kind of a mass production card to do for my husband's work because a lot of them like the same card to give out to family and stuff. So I'll do a lot of, you know, maybe like 6 or 10 different cards and do a lot of them. And so I have a lot of that paper, but I kind of wanted to play with my sequins here too because I just think these are gorgeous. And these are what they look like. And you get them in a box. It's called For Everything Fancy Sequins. And look at this. I know I showed you guys before, but you get the blue and you get pink. You can tell I used some blue on my snowman cards, and you get the pink. How pretty are those going to be for Valentine's Day? So we're just going to put these back. But the green, and even though the green may think, when you look at it, you're like, oh, I'm not sure Yes, Debbie, there is an annual catalog every year. Correct. I am not sure it, you know, when you look at this and you look at the paper, so I have a piece of the paper here, you're like, this might be kind of bright. But if you look at it, there's a lot of red on here. So when you add the green, and then of course this has, you know, a lot of different greens in this. This paper has like 3 different greens in there. So it's really a nice different look. Now, if you can see, I also added some of the gold leaves in there. So these right here, the gold holly leaves. So I added 3 on the inside, and then I added 2 right here. So that was really fun to play with. I really wanted to use a lot of my stuff. This right here is the snowflake sequin. Now, this card is gold, but I put a little bit of silver in there, but for the most part, I tried pulling out the white and the little snowflakes or the little stars, and I put those in there, but you really can't, you can see some if you hold it up. So there's not a whole lot, but I kind of wanted to give it a variety. Is October Bingo on the 12th? Yes, this Wednesday. Yep, Wednesday at 5 o'clock my time. Pacific time is 5 o'clock. The other item I put in is the effervescence. I just took a little scoop like this. I put these in the lid, and then I tried to take out the bigger ones because I didn't want to have this with those big bumps in there, and I didn't want those to be the main focus. So I just kind of did the little ones, and so we'll do some of that. We'll do all that when we start putting this together. So let's just get going because there's a few different steps that I did. You can see I did some framing on here, and I did have it on a white card base, and I had just a thin red, but you could barely see it, so I decided to change it to the red. And then on the inside, I was going to do landscape, but I absolutely love this down the side also, and you can put it down here too and make this your inside. So this is just kind of different instead of at the bottom, and I wasn't sure which way I was going to do it, but I liked this either way, so I put this in and I was fine with that, and then I decided which way. And this tree is from the Trimming the Tree. Now, I will say that the Trimming the Tree dies came from the pairing, Perfectly Paired, which are no longer current. And so you cannot get these anymore. That was just short-lived. But I figured a lot of you probably have them, so I decided to use them and show you how I used them. But I like them because it's got all the little stars. I usually like to try to keep these down here. It had some ornaments. And then these are the outline ornaments, which is what I used on here. So you can see the little ornaments here, like these little tiny ornaments. You can see them, and that's where those came from. Oh, no problem, Nancy Lee. Hi, Penny. How are you? Hi, Marcia. And so that's what I did. I used the tree outline. I used this label right here, and these little bows right here are the ones I used for the top of the tree. So I did pre-cut some of those, so we'll show you as I get going. So let's pull in our pieces here, and I have some little tips to show you here with this. Let's start with our inside here. Now, I did the 4 by 5 1/4 of the green. Okay, so this is going to be on the trees. You've got the tree paper. So it's the green that's on the other side. It's just kind of a marbly looking green. And that's what I cut with the rectangular dies. I cut the second from the largest, and I cut out just like this, okay? So I put the rectangle aside because I want to use the frame, all right? That's the first thing I did. The next thing I did is I wanted to put a nice pretty gold frame on there. So I chose my distressed gold. I just think it gives it that antique-ish look. So I took this And this one is a little bit bigger. This one's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I took this frame from Fabulous Frames, and I took this frame out. Okay, and then this is where I got this frame. Now, I don't know, you could probably tell right there. It's got the embossed lines right there. So the frame gives you these lines and stuff inside your, I don't know if you can see, there's little polka dots right there, and then there's lines that go all the way around. So it gives you a really pretty frame, and you can see it in person. I don't know if you can see it, but hold on to this piece right here because you're going to use it when you do the inside of your card. So when you open up your card, this is where that came from. So you can take a strip and, you know, just add it right there. And then when I cut this down, I kept a strip of this also, and that's what went on the inside. So I'm going to set these aside for now, and let's just get our inside of the card done. So the first thing you want to do is your white piece, because you want to be able to trim off your pieces. So I'm going to stick with doing it on the side because I like that. So let's do that. And what's nice is if this is a little longer, it could be, you know, 4 1/2. You know your paper on the inside is at least going to be 4 1/4 or more, or less. So you can always cut it to, I'm going to do it this way, cut it to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, I mean 5 1/2, and then this way you know you can cut it off and it'll be nice and straight. So put that on, and then I'm going to take my glue and just add a little on here. Now see how there's a little bit too much right there? So what I like to do is start here and then just kind of smush it downward. That way it's not too much. I have a lot less in the middle. It just came out thick right there. And I'm just going to make sure it's pressed down to this paper. I put probably a little bit too much glue, so I'm just going to be careful right there. And then, let's see, where are my scissors? Take your scissors. Oh, I don't want those. Those are going to get glue on them. They're going to get glue. And then you can just cut this off. Okay, so now that is ready to go. And now you can turn it over and we will put runner on it. I like to do this, as you guys know, because otherwise I'll grab this white piece of paper for something else during the project, and then I'll be like, oh, where did my white paper for the inside go? And it'll be, you know, the sentiment or something. So I just like to do that just to make sure it's all secure and in there and all finished already. And especially with this type of card, you're going to be doing all the top stuff first before you adhere it on the card. So see, this could go like this, but I kind of liked it on the outside. So it's whatever your preference is. I do both. And of course, you could always just put it across the bottom if that's what you want to do. All right, so look how pretty that is. All right. All right, and you know what would be really, really pretty with this card? It just dawned on me. Take this paper and put this on your envelope, but then also take your distressed gold. If you guys have the inside liners to your envelopes, how pretty would that be on the inside of your envelope? So if you do have those, that would be just gorgeous. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to make our piece with our window sheet. So I cut this and set it aside so I wouldn't get any fingerprints all over on it. So I'm just going to set that aside for now. Now think about how this is going to go. Remember, this piece right here is the piece that would have gone in here, but I had already cut it from the piece I did with this yesterday. I had an extra piece, so I'm just going to set that aside to use at a different time. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I leave this for last because we're going to be working with this. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to put our adhesive on this. And what I like to do is I've noticed that instead of the adhesive strips, I prefer the foam adhesive sheets. Number one, you can make them the thickness you want. Number two, I think they stick better. In my opinion, I don't know, it could just be me. So this is kind of what I started yesterday. So I have a couple pieces and another piece. So let's just use this one up. I like to use my trimmer because then I know it's nice and straight. So I just slide it over, and at no particular size, you know, you're just gonna, your little paper might come off, but it works out really well, and I have not gotten any sticky on there. I think it's just because it has the paper on the top and the bottom, and I do it quickly. So you don't want it too thin, you don't want it too thick, just kind of like this. So just, so this is not even, let me see. This is like 1/8 of an inch is what you want. So I think I should have enough there. But I love this stuff because it goes on any side. Thanks, Deborah. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your designer piece, because this is the back of your top whole panel, okay? So, but remember it's DSP, so be gentle with it. We're going to take this off. That one's a little thick. We're going to take this one off. And you want it to go just to the edge or right inside your paper. Because let me show you something really quick. Your frame is going to go over. It should be the same size as this, okay? So it is touchy to the size, like exactly. Okay, so you want to make sure you get it on there just right. Make sure that this is your size you're looking at. And you could even trim it once you get everything together if you needed to, or you could trim. So you could take this and just like take a sliver off. Okay, just a little bit, because you're going to be putting everything up on top of it. And this way it doesn't poke out. So if you wanted, you could just take that down like right, it's not even 3 7/8, it's just a sliver under 4. So I mean, look, you could tell just a little bit. We may need to do a little bit more, but okay, and you can adjust that as we go. So let's take this, we're going to put this on, and I'm going to go to the edge, and I'm just going to go down. It doesn't have to be exactly to the edge, but I mean, you can barely see any. If you looked up, it's going to look pretty close. All right, so, and then I have another little, see, those are kind of thick. Let me cut another couple. I learned yesterday when I did it, I did them a little thick and I had to cut them down. So you really want them in 1/8 of an inch-ish. And I made some that are a little thicker, so I'm going to just do a couple more. Just to make sure I have what I want. Okay. All right, here we go. So let's do this one. And so you're just going to go, and you want to make sure it's a really snug fit, because you don't want any of your sequins falling out, right? So you guys, I'm sure, have seen a shaker card. And just kind of push it up against there. And I just lift it up just barely past the paper so your corners aren't hanging out. All right, and this one was thick. All right, this one's a little thinner, and it's okay. It's going to hold the stuff in just fine. I just put it on the outside edge. So for those of you, I know we have a lot of new people playing bingo this month. Make sure that you, all you do is come to this YouTube channel at 5 o'clock Pacific time on Wednesday. So you don't have to, a lot of people think it's a private channel. It's not. Anybody can watch it. My video, my bingo. Just come and watch it, and you just can't participate in the bingo unless you have registered and all that good stuff. So, okay, I'm going to leave my paper on here. All right. Okay, so we can set this aside for right now. And now we're going to build this. So what I do with the green is the green is going to go on top of the acetate first thing. Okay, so take your green and we're going to do white liner tape on it because it's going to stick to the acetate. I don't like to pull the tape really tight because it does start to curl up. And I also like to cut it versus tear it because with your DSP is so fragile, if you rip it, you may pull this up and rip that. You don't want to do that. So I just do it. Just lay it nicely. And of course, this you could use for any card. You could use those blue sequins and do, you know, like snowman card or, you know, any kind of card. It doesn't even have to be Christmas. That's what's nice about these sequins. All right, this one's a little skinnier. It just depends on where you are adding your frame at. I probably did this one a tiny bit smaller, but it's okay. It will be fine. All right, so now what I like to do is bring in a dark piece of paper to put my frame on because I want to be able to see it. If you put it on here, it gets a little lost, and even here it's a little harder to see. So I like to put it on a dark cardstock on a frame here. And then we're going to pull this off and lay it on there. All right, so let's take this all off. And then I'll show you an easy way to put it on there because if it's not exactly straight. I mean, it's flimsy because it's just a tiny piece of paper. But I'll show you holding it a certain way really helps. Okay, if you hold it like this, your fingers are going to stick, right? If you hold it like this on the edge, I have a, there. If you hold it by the edge, kind of make sure your frame is as rectangle as it can be. And then I like to hold it like in the corner right here so that when I start to lay it down, I can have a little control on moving this around. So what I'm going to do is hold it this way so I can bring it in, and I'm going to start it at the top, and you want it to go right on your acetate. Okay, so make sure it's just barely covering because remember they're pretty much the same size. So there to there. So I'm just going to go down, and now I'm going to turn it, and now I'm just going to kind of edge it along. Okay, so it's just edging right along, and now I'm going to hold it up this way, turn it again, because once it sticks, it's going to stick, right? So just kind of edge it along. Mainly you want to make sure that this corner also lands, okay? And then I kind of push this up to the edge. And then right here, I can see right here a little bit of clear. It didn't get all the way to the edge, so I'm going to slowly pull it up. Really careful. You're going to hold the acetate down and be super careful because it is DSP. Okay. And so now I'm going to come this way and move this way. Okay, so there we go. I don't know what this is white right here. It must have pulled that off, but we can fix that. All right, so there is your acetate that's going to go right on top of there. At this point now, you can go ahead and add your gold frame. So let's do that. So this is going to lay right inside here and lay right perfectly right there. So now this is where you find out that it doesn't really matter if one of your green strips is a little thinner than the other. You don't want it too much because then you're going to definitely be able to tell. But here we're going to add this on top of here and add our white line, or I mean our seal. I like to use seal. You can use what you want. Liquid is good, but because you are adhering it to paper, so I probably could have just done that. And I probably would have had I thought about it. Because it's not going to the acetate, it's going to the... Let me move all this out. So again, another frame. But see how having the silicone mat underneath, you don't get glue all over the place, which is really nice. Okay, so same thing with this frame. Now you're going to take that off because you don't need the black. I like to bring this back in. And now what I do is I hold it on the side because I want to just get a good top bottom. So just barely on the side. See how this is bent up? I'm going to bend it down a little bit so I can see where it's positioning close to the green. Hi Andrea, how are you? Santa Rosa, my grandparents were from Santa Rosa. All right, here we go. So we're just going to drop that. Get it as close as you can. We're going to decorate the front, so if it's a tad off, it's not earth-shattering, but there we go. So just kind of lay it there, get a good idea of your spacing around, and just kind of drop it because you want to make sure that it still is that rectangle shape. So be really careful when it sticks to your fingers and you're kind of pulling your fingers, you know, away. You don't want it to, you know, distort your shape. Okay, so there we go. So now we can take this and decorate and put our things inside. So always try to take your embossing buddy. I just drop it in because I feel like that's enough powder, and then I just kind of pounce it around a little bit. I don't want a whole bunch in there, and I think that should be good. I also just lightly run it over my window, but I don't drop it on that because I don't want it all dusty. I just want it to where our pretties don't just cling up to that. Okay. Oh, see, look at my tape moved right here. I gotta fix this. It kind of went off the paper. I want to make sure I don't get gems rolling all over the place. I'm gonna replace this because I think it's not sticking. It might have been the end of that extra piece I had, and I don't want it to go all over the place. So let me get another little piece here. I think it was an end, and I think the paper kind of went off right here. We're going to take the paper off in a minute, but so be careful if you have your some pieces around like I did for these that are just hanging out. See how the paper can just kind of come off because I've cut them already. Don't really cut them unless you're ready to use them. I had extra yesterday, and I think those just kind of lost their sticky. So I'm going to make sure that this one goes right here. So on a shaker card, never think, oh, it'll probably stick once I put it all together. It probably won't, and you don't want to lose all your little doodads. So we're going to take this sticky stuff off in a second, so I'm just going to set that aside. Okay. Thank you, Ramona. All right. Okay, so now we're ready to put our gems in here. So we're going to put a little bit of everything. We know for sure we're going to put 3 of our leaves in. So I just kind of make sure you put the right side up. And that's the, oh, not that side. The side that you've got the little indentions. Here, let me see if this helps. Okay, so the side that has like the little indentions on there, those are the ones you want facing up to where they look like leaves. Okay, the back side is just looks like stitching. All right, and then we're going to put some of this in and a little bit of this. Okay, so this part, what I did is I just took a little like this, and I actually tried to pick out the bigger pieces, so I just kind of moved them aside and I went with a smaller size. But I think after I did it, I'm realizing that I have plenty of shake in there, plenty of space to put the larger ones in, but I don't want it to be my main focus in here. I want a lot more green, so I'm just going to do about that much, I think. Okay, so we're going to do this one bead could be oh, I try not to let any of them get away, but you know, sometimes. Wow, these are tiny. Okay, never mind. They're shooting all over the place now. I'll get them later. Okay, so there's that, and I did like a lot of this. It's got pearls in there. It's got little iridescent pieces. There's all kinds of pretties in there. Now, one of the things I'll tell you is because we're doing a shaker for the whole length, this is about the amount I put in there. So it's all right here, and I think once I add this in there, it'll be fine. There's little pearls in here that are half pearls. So if you wanted to, you can go through and flip them over to make sure you get the pearl side up. But it doesn't really matter because I did that on this card, and most of them are upward, but some of them aren't. So I don't know if I missed those because I think they have plenty of space to flip over, but for me, I just do it anyway because I think maybe I just missed a few, but I really want to see the pretty pearl part, not the back plastic part. So I just kind of go through, and it's not, you know, this is just my preference. I just want to make sure that my little pearls are pearls and not a flat plastic back. So I move them over. Like I said, all of them are turned, but maybe 2 in that card. So I was like, maybe I probably just missed them. So I just want to make sure I get all my pearls, or at least most of them, over so that you can see that they're all pearls when they're in here because they're so pretty. All right, I think that is enough. I'm not going to stress over it. But that's my preference. I like to turn them over so you can see all the pretty little pearls in there. So if I see one, I flip it, but it's not, you know, the end of the world if you don't. Okay, so the other thing you want to make sure is when they make these sequins, you're going to have little clusters of certain sequins, like they just put them all together. Just put them in your hand and kind of squish them and they'll come apart. They're all just compressed and put together. So that's the next thing to do, is just make sure you don't have that, because they'll just stay together. All right, so I think that's good. All right, we have everything. Yes. All right, so now we're going to add this on top. So you want to put your finger on the paper and then slowly start peeling away the outside. And I like to hold the paper down on both places so that you don't pull the paper up and it pops all the stuff that's on the inside. You don't want to do that. All right, so this, of course, is the double-sided foam adhesive. Cut to the length you want. I'm going to move these away because I don't want anything popping up and sticking. Okay, now you could also glue a few down in the background if you wanted. Like I thought my flower on the other one was just right in the middle to where I could see it, and I could have added some little pearls in the middle of it, or little gold stones or something. But all right, I want to make sure I get all my adhesive off. The one thing about using your mini trimmer when you are cutting your adhesive is it does crack the plastic that you're peeling off right here. So sometimes you'll find yourself pulling little pieces off, but I prefer to cut it like that. So, all right, everything looks good. Hi Lisa, how are you? All right, so let's just flatten that out a little bit. And now we're going to go ahead and take this. Everything is on. Okay, so this had a little bit of glue right here. Just it probably came outside the frame. So I'm going to make sure I wipe that. And again, this went onto the green. You probably could have just put liquid on there, but it's a preference. Okay, so I'm going to turn this just because it's easier for me being right-handed. I'm going to turn it a little bit. Now remember, this is going to be the same width as everything else you have here. So we may end up trimming just a little to make sure that everything is within the square. So just make sure by starting right here on both sides and then going forward, it really, really helps get everything in line. Now I can feel a bump right here. I'm gonna make sure a bead didn't try to climb in there. I think it did. There, got it. Okay, so there we go. So there's our shaker card. We got our leaves in there. And it looks like they're stuck, but they're not stuck to anything. There's a big pearl there. So the big pearls, I think, are, you know, maybe could cause an issue, but I think it looks fine. So now we can go ahead and adhere this onto our card base. Now remember, this is just DSP. So this is pretty, the word I'm trying to say is, it is pretty delicate. But see how you can see the red right there? So you could take your scissors and trim that if you wanted, and just trim right around, because it is just a tad, I mean, it's the same size, but you might have just a little bit of the glue, I mean, of your adhesive in just a tad, because you want to make sure everything is outward. You could also use your guillotine, but I like to use my bigger scissors because I'm just going to go right along my adhesive. So that's what I like to do. But you could cut your paper a little smaller, but I just want to make sure that your adhesive is right up to the edge so that now that one looks fine. This one actually looks fine, and this one probably a tiny bit. So I could have cut probably just a little more off. I just don't want it to show up outside when you're looking at your card, and that looks much better. So see, it was just like a tiny bit. All right, there we go. Now I'm not going to try and use my runner on this. I've got bumps and different things in here on my card. So I want to make sure that and I have one just stuck there, a big one. But I'm not going to fight it because it'll pop out and I don't want that to happen. So we're going to use liquid glue. And it'll really hold it well too, so. All right, so everything should be good. And now make sure your finger is holding your card down, or you can open it up all the way, but it's got glue as long as I have it close to where I want it, and then I can just kind of maneuver it into the spot I want it. I'm going to slide it up just a little bit. All right, so now I'm going to turn this over, put it on my silicone mat, and I'm just going to turn it over because it's where I want it. And I'm going to turn it over and just put something weighted on it. Just something light, even like a stamp set. So we'll just move that over. And now it's time to do our tree. All right, let's just move all that. Hi Jody, how are you? Okay, so for our tree, kind of one of the little tricks that I like to do when I do leaves or trees or anything that is a greenery is I like to add a little bit of ink to my ink pad. So what that does is it adds a little bit of a variegation of color to my image. Okay, I feel like can you guys see okay? I know I zoomed in. I don't want it to be too much for you. All right, so we're going to take this and I want to use a squishy here to make sure I get all of my good color on there. All right, so now what I like to do is just take a little bit. You don't need a whole lot. You're just trying to get a couple of different colors on your image. So I'm just going to do that and let it sit there for just a second. And it doesn't even have to go all the way in, and I'll show you what I mean. But by letting it sit there a minute, you're not going to be, you're not going to waste it. You're just inking it up a little bit. You don't want to put a whole lot. And normally I just need to do it once, and I did it last night for my tree. It's a little darker on the edges and there's some spots on the inside, so it's probably harder to see on the video. All right, so now I'm just going to move it around, but you see how it picked up the, oh, see, now I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So you see how it kind of it picked up that ink, and there's some darker spots. So I like to pull out a card big enough, a piece big enough, to where I can stamp it a couple times if I need to. Okay, so there's once, and see how this one's even darker because I did it from last night, but see how it's variegated? So we're going to do it again. Okay, we're going to pick up that ink on the top, the bottom, and now I want to squish it in to make sure I get a good image. Oh, let's do it this way. Now, because the dies are no longer available, obviously you could just fussy cut the tree. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, so, and there's a tree. I like the one with the more green on it, so we're going to go with that one. And now I'm bringing in cherry cobbler. This paper, the reds just look like there's the dark and the light. And I just thought that the darker looked better to me. So I'm going to ink up and get red. Oops, I got to turn my tree around. We're going to use this one. And I look at the bottom and the top, and I just kind of want my lights to go right in the middle of my tree. Okay, so you just kind of have them, sporadically. Now they don't look as bright as over here because the tree's a lot darker, but that's okay because my main image that I want to see on the tree are my pretty ornaments. But this is just a filler in the background. And what's nice about this stamp set is you could also do, you know, your lights like that if you wanted, or your ribbon, you know, do it like ribbon. There's all kinds of, you know, fun things you can do. You can stamp it and then stamp another color on the inside. I hadn't planned that, but we could. Let's do it. Let's do, I already did it, but let's do Pear Pizzazz and see what that looks like. I think a lighter color. We'll just see. I didn't do that yesterday, but let's try it. I'll show you what it looks like. Hopefully it'll come out right. I don't have it on my Stamparatus or anything. We're just gonna go for it. Let's see, let me turn this off. All right. So let's try Pear Pizzazz and see what we can do. All right. Now my head might get in the way. So I'm looking at all the white spots, which it looks like it could be pretty easy to line up, but wow. Oh, this looks, I've not done it before, so we'll see. It looks like it lines up in one side, but not the other. Like, how does it not line up over here? Oh, I think I needed to tilt it a little bit. Well, that's okay. But see, now you can see that there's some variegated colors on there too. So that's fun. That is really a cool stamp. Let's try it again on this one. Let's see if I could do it right, so you guys can see how it actually works. I left the white on there. Honestly, I didn't even notice last night when I was putting this card together. All right, so see how you have to line this up. So I'm at the bottom, the top. There we go. It's kind of like you move it around and it all just kind of falls into place. You can see the lining align. And it's not supposed to cover the whole thing. It's just a little bit. So that's kind of cool. Okay, I like that. All right, so let's pull our tree. I thought it was a smaller tree, but now that I'm looking at it, it's just for the inside of it. And I was like, no, I want the bigger tree. And now I'm realizing. Okay, so the dies that come with this set, again, are right here. So I've opted to stamp it instead of do the die cutting. So we're just gonna put this on my tree, and look at it, it's really pretty close to the tree, which is kind of nice. It leaves a little image around it, the white, but you can see how nice it is to die cut. All right, so here is our tree. So pretty. All right, and now I brought some little, I already did some die cutting, the ones I showed you earlier with all of our little pieces here. So that I'll explain in a minute. So we have our little pieces for our tree. So let's go ahead and we're going to glue those on. So I like to take my tiny piece of glue, and we're just going to, again, bring in our silicone mat. This should be all fine. So this is good. We'll just set this over here. And let's do our tree. Okay, so I decided to go with the bow. I did have a little fabric bow, but it was just too big for the card. So I did do a gold ribbon, and then I decided, I'm going to do glue. So here is our gold ribbon. I'm going to put that at the top. And now we're going to do our little bulbs here. So, oh, here's an extra ribbon, I thought, just in case I lost mine. Okay, so we're going to do the little round one. See how the lights go like right here? So I wanted to kind of fill in our little bulbs. And so what I did is I'm going to take it and I'm going to put a little bit of glue. Let me wipe this off at the top here. I think I need to get a new bottle soon just because this one's it's got glue all over on it. Alright, so we're going to put a little bit of glue at the top, and I'm going to do a little down here and a little at the bottom, okay? And now, where did my tweezers go? Right here. So these are not only great for embossing, you can take these and then it'll help you with your positioning. Alright, and then I'm going to put that one right there. And then, oops. Okay, so there's one. Look how pretty those are. Okay, now I'll come in again. So now that we're doing our little ornaments, maybe you can see better. Alright, so there's that one. And then so we'll just continue with our little ornaments. I do a little on the top, a little on the bottom, and then just a little on the inside. You just need it enough to hold. Alright, so we're going to do this one. Notice how I put my tweezers here on the bottom because I know I'm going to just flip them over and use it like this. And I'm going to put this one right about here. I'm going to leave room for our sentiment. So let's move our little round one. There's 3. They're so tiny, but they're so pretty. Who got this set? Did anybody get this set? Hey, Deborah. The die set. Did you guys get the die set too? So it's really hard when we're doing cards and we want to do, you know, show you guys different cards and things, and then we're like, oh, but you know, this is retired. But I hear from you guys that you like to see retired items too, created with our current items, because obviously you still have your current items, right? And it just seemed like these came and went, and I didn't really get a chance to play with them. And so I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to show you, because I'm sure a lot of you still have these. I thought this little ornament here would make a cute little pumpkin. We can make a pumpkin tree and keep the insides of this and color it. Do it like maybe in the white glimmer paper and then color it orange. They could be little pumpkins. Alright, so we'll just move this one down a little bit. Alright, so our tree is done. So we'll set that aside and we'll put embellishments on it. Now for our sentiment, I wanted to use, instead of the red paper, because I thought like this just looked really stark, you know, to put a red paper there. So instead I had the other side of the smaller poinsettia paper, and it has the polka dots on it, which I just love. So I decided to use this for our sentiment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my embossing buddy. I always find that it's on my silicone sheet. It wipes right off. All right, we'll take our Versamark. My Versamark, I think I need a new one. This one's kind of ugly. right, we're going to stamp this up. And I'm just going to put it in the middle because I want the die to go around it. Okay, so there's that. And then my embossing powder, I don't even need the tray for this one. Because I actually have a lot of my embossing powders in these little spice holders. And because I'm just doing one item and it's a small one, I'll just kind of put it over this and then tap it off. And there you go. Now it's all done. So I don't really need to have my tray this time. Normally I do use my tray and I love it. But because it's on video, we're just doing one little thing. I opted not to. Now I have a long piece of paper, so I could hold it here, but it's DSP, it's very fine. I'm cutting this part off, so I'm just gonna hold it like right there. And we're gonna heat it. Notice I put my embossing powder away. I try to remember to do that, otherwise it'll blow all over the place. And then I'll show you a secret on how I did my my sentiment. Okay, so then I just make sure that it's all dry, and it is. Okay, I got a little extra right there, but that's okay. All right, so now we're going to use this here from the dies, and you can use all kinds of other labels, whatever we have. This one just happens to go with the set if you got it, and yes, it's retired. All right, so we're just going to put that right about there. And I'm just going to tape that and run it through. And this is DSP. So it's a thinner label. So I really don't want to add dimensionals on the back of it. And it be so thin that it just doesn't, you know, keep its shape or, you know, whatever. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to take this off nice and carefully because it's got tape on there. This is removable tape, but I have it on a tape dispenser here. And I'm going to glue this to here to just give it a little extra strength and make it much easier. See how the DSP is just a little bit, I mean, it's a little warped. It goes back straight, but I would prefer, I'm going to put this wet side down because I just wiped it off, to put glue on that. So I'm going to use liquid because it's easier to kind of move it around and get it on there. And you just need a little bit. You don't want it, you don't want a whole lot because again, it's DSP. I mean, look how pretty. You could have stamped on that side too and then put that on here. But I mean, there's so much you can do. You could have stamped in white. So make sure, of course, your words are up. And I did it in black instead of white because I think it's going to hide that a little bit more, a little bit better. And I just kind of go around the edges, make sure it aligns really, really good. Thanks, Ada. Okay, so that is done. So now all we have to do is we're going to grab our leaves again. We need 2 leaves. We need a big one and a small one. So here's a small, and there's a large one. And we're going to add dimensionals on the back. Here it is. So let's add our dimensionals. Let's move this one over. Here, let me go out now. So you can probably see a little bit better. Let's bring our card in. Let's use our dimensionals. And I think I just used the large ones. Remember that I will not have a regular video on Wednesday. I will be doing bingo on Wednesday. So you guys can, if you're part of that, of course, I'll see you there. And if you just want to watch, that's great too. Okay, I'm only going to put 2 right there because this is going to go on our tree right there. So what I'm going to do is bring in my glue dots and put one on the end right there. Okay, so I have a glue dot right there. All right. I did actually use the mini dimensionals because I put them on the back of my leaf. So look at your leaves. They go like this. So this is the top part. And this one goes like this. So this is the top part. I don't need to put a dimensional on the bottom. We're tucking it in, but you could. We'll put one just for stability, but it's not out in front, but it'll be fine. So we'll do 2. And let's take this off. And when you put your tree on, are there leaves and are they multicolored? You know what? They are. It says gold, but let me show you one here. It looks like there's like a gold and a white. If you look at them a certain way, I think it's just the thread, but I don't know if you can see. But the back side, you can see them a little bit better. It's like I think that just the thread makes them look like they're white, but they are just gold. But at an angle, they look kind of like they have white in them. All right, so here we go. You know what? I'm going to add a tiny one at the top just to give that tree support. I think I might have, no, I didn't do it with that one, but I kind of thought about it, so I should have, and I still can, so I think we'll do that. I like to put it down here just so it's, you know, anchored somewhere. It's not just floating. So we'll put that on there. Let's take this. So you could really make a shaker card, you know, for any card. But I think even just for Christmas, this is just kind of a fun. Let me pull this down. Line it up a little bit. And just for a fun, you know, something different. And now we're going to take our leaves. This is the top part. I'm going to take the large on the inside just so we can see it better. We have such a big area right here. I mean, you could put your sentiment on the inside. The issue with that is when you put things on the inside, it could get stuck on it. It could cover it up. You know, it could do some different things. So I thought putting it on top would be, you know, really cute. And so here's the one we did. I still have a leaf that's stuck up there, but that's okay. I think the large things are kind of, but see how pretty they are with the sequins on them? So those cards were so much fun to make. I love making shaker cards. It does take a little bit of time. You know, think of the process. What kind of frames do you want on it? What kind of things do you want to go on the inside? There's so many things you can do. And I think the new stamp set that we just got, the new bundle, you're going to really start seeing some of those with the little hearts for Valentine's Day. Remember, that comes out of our spring mini catalog. And so I think we're going to see a lot of little hearts in shaker cards with that. So, oh, you guys are so welcome. Thank you so much. Thanks, Nancy Lee. You know, it really is easy as long as you know you must put that adhesive on and really, really good so that it sticks and there's no openings. That is the main thing with shaker cards, is just make sure that. I have to say I really prefer the adhesive sheets. I like the adhesive sheets better than the line, but that's a preference, I'm sure. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Diana. I'm so glad you guys liked it. Thank you, Maureen and Deborah. Um, so I have been prepping bingo like crazy. So if you want to get some sneak peeks of what the kits look like, I took some pictures of some of the product all out and cut and for some of the kits. And I have one more kit to finish, and then I'm waiting for some gold to come. I this this is only part of it, but look at this poor gold folder. This is a lot of packages of the glimmer, and a lot of it was bingo. A lot of it's my Christmas cards. So you're going to see a lot of gold coming up in the future. You'll see it in November's bingo for sure. So you guys saw the sneak peek for November's bingo. That is coming up. It's going to be a great bingo. There's going to be 12 projects with envelopes. So I hope you'll participate. It's going to be Lights Aglow and the Handmade Wishes, I believe it's called, with the punch. And so if you don't have Handmade Wishes, or if you don't have Lights Aglow, I give you all the DSP. I give you, the embellishments and everything. The sentiments are what you won't have, but you can replace it with other sentiments that you have. So you don't have to worry about that. I give you the any bling embellishments, rhinestones, anything like that, ribbon. I give all that to you. So really, I think the only thing on these coming up, I give you the envelopes and cards too, of course. So you'll just have sentiments, I think. So anyway, if you're interested in the November bingo, it is listed below. You can click on there and go check it out and find out the details. And I don't recall the cutoff date. I don't think it's on here. It is not, but it is November the 16th at 5 o'clock. And but it's probably just the week before, maybe the 9th. It's usually like the week before because I definitely need time to create the kits. So that being said, signing up earlier the better is fantastic. All right. So thank you so much, everybody. Again, Wednesday I will be doing bingo, so I won't be doing a regular card, but there will be 4 fantastic projects for you to check out. And I will see you then. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.